Hey, what's up everyone, Ragey Golden Eagle here, having way too much fun as always. It's been a while since I ripped on colleges, right? It has to have been at least like 2 weeks. And speaking of 2 weeks, that's about as old as this article is, but who cares, it's good if you haven't heard about it yet. Just this title alone is probably gonna make you bust out laughing. Hoax Project gets a woke version of Mein Kampf accepted by Feminist Journal. Man, after that whole thing with the feminist glaciers and then the conceptual penis, you thought it couldn't get any worse, right? These guys are actually gonna get smart, right? I mean, damn, this is academia. They're supposed to be taken seriously. There's supposed to be peer reviews and things like that. Well, I guess that means nothing. Oh, and in case you are wondering, this hoax is actually made by the same guys that did the conceptual penis one. So they did that and a few others, but their biggest coup may be convincing a feminist journal to accept a paper that includes a lengthy section of Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf with fashionable buzzwords switched in. Oh yeah, they did it. They got it accepted. And sadly though, we gotta be prepared for the blowback now. The authors are prepared for their hoax project to damage their careers. And yeah, they all pretty much say that they either expect to be fired or in one of their cases, can't get into a doctoral program. And holy shit, if I'm gonna be perfectly honest here, what better proof as to the absolute corruption and horrible state of academia, where they can seriously non-ironically end the careers of people that expose flaws in their system. Isn't this literally what academia is supposed to be about, is just learning and improving? Well, I guess that only applies as long as you're not going against the establishment. Because the establishment is God. Kinda funny, isn't it, how all these atheists have just replaced God with something else? Anyway, on the topic of improvement, there was one problem with the conceptual penis host that Bogosian and Lindsay perpetuated last year, the essay explains. It was published in a poorly ranked journal with lax review standards that requires authors to pay a fee even though it was peer-reviewed. That's why Pluckrose, Bogosian, and Lindsay targeted more prestigious journals and refused to pay to get their submissions published with this new experiment. So you see, this is how academia and science in general should work, isn't it? They did their first experiment, they received a bunch of criticism for it, they took that criticism to heart, and they did it again. They would also admit they submitted a hoax if a journal editor or reviewer, but not a journalist, asked them. And over here it starts getting absolutely hilarious. The feminist Mein Kampf paper, as they called it, featured a clue about its origin right in the title. Our struggle is my struggle. Solidarity feminism as an intersectional reply to neoliberal and choice feminism. Yeah, they did kind of put my struggle right in the title. And as prone as these academics are to seeing Nazis everywhere, I'm surprised they didn't see it here. But then again, I guess they don't see the similarities to the Nazis when it's their own side that has them. Hell, they're on the right side of history after all. And what exactly did they shove in there? The last 2/3 of the paper is quote-unquote based upon Chapter 12 of Mein Kampf Volume 1, where Hitler explains the necessity of the Nazi Party and its membership requirements, though it diverges significantly from the original according to the project summary. And for what it's worth, this should not surprise anybody who's been dealing with these types of people all these years. Hell, am I the only one that remembers that Firefox plugin that unfortunately Mozilla got bullied into taking down that just replaced the word men with Jews and feminism with Nazis? Just to point out how freaking similar feminism and Nazis are? When you remember things like that, it's not too much of a surprise that they fall for shit like this. The language in this part of the paper, which the Fix has reviewed, is often dismissive of anything less than total devotion to the cause. For example, in creating solidarity for overcoming oppression, sacrifices will be necessary. And no accessible sacrifice that abnegates neoliberalism should be considered too great. I honestly don't know what's funnier, that this came from Mein Kampf or this sounds like exactly what I expect them to say. But anyway, it was accepted by Ophelia Journal of Women and Social Work and the proofs were approved September 19th according to the fact sheet. So yeah, there you go. I wonder what academia is gonna say now. Previously they were ripping on them because it was some low-tier journal, but this one is apparently a bit higher tier. And they didn't pay, and it got reviewed and accepted. So what's the complaint gonna be now? I bet they're just gonna call these professors alt-right Nazis, and they're gonna expect that to be the end of it, because that's usually what they do. Every time you disagree with them like a good NPC, they just call you racist, Nazi. They just go through their limited script of insults, and then when that does nothing, they don't know how to respond. Oh, and as you can expect, this isn't the only thing these guys have done. We already went over the conceptual penis one, but there's been more. The trio's first publishing success came April with the journal Fat Studies. Well, that's a real thing, huh? Who are they to judge? Overcoming anthropometry and a framework of fat bodybuilding, or for fat bodybuilding, sorry. I wish I knew how to read. It's a skill I'm working on. But either way, this paper argued that only oppressive cultural norms have convinced society that building muscle is more admirable than building fat. Yeah, what could possibly give off the impression that the thing that requires constant work and effort, aka building muscle, would be more admirable than just sitting on your ass and stuffing your face? I don't know, man. Must be these damn social constructs right here. That's gotta be it, man. There's no other possible explanation to this. But as funny as that is, next was Gender, Place, and Culture, a journal of feminist geography. Is that the one that published that feminist glacier shit? But either way, they accepted and published the dog park paper in May. And this one's funny. It argued that dog parks become rape-condoning spaces in which human rape culture plays out by the moral permissiveness we extend to animals. Yup, you take your dog to the dog park and your dog just happens to have sex with some of the other dogs. That's perpetuating human rape culture. Because this totally never happens in the wild, by the way. And these so-called academics published this. Holy shit, academia, you're making yourselves look so bad, I don't even have to do or say anything. I just have to point at the stupid shit you do. Which, to be honest, I actually do kind of love it when that happens. When my opponent is just so stupid, I don't have to counter any of their arguments. Literally, all I have to do is sit back and crack open a beer and just eat some popcorn and watch as they put their foot in their mouth repeatedly. Those are the best kind of debates. I wish I could get into more of them. But oh man, some of these lines. Studying the rape culture of dog parks can provide insights into training men out of the sexual violence and bigotry to which they are prone. Yup. Oh man, and they published it. Yeah, this is what's become of our best and brightest. This is America's future. Alright, it keeps going though. The third paper was published in June in Sexuality and Culture. It argued that heterosexual men probably don't penetrate themselves with sex toys because of transphobia, because of course that's the only reason, and fear of being thought of as a homosexual. One peer reviewer suggested combining these two phenomena into one concept. Transhysteria. Yeah, these guys are on a roll, but they're not done yet, because the fourth published paper went online September 19th. The project summary notes it was rejected by one journal, Men and Masculinities, but accepted by another, Sex Roles. Alright, so there you go. That's probably a very respectable journal there, Men and Masculinities. Wow, how ironic is that? Looks like the men's journal correctly caught this shit, but the women's journal didn't. Oh, hashtag equality and all that though. Oh man, they're gonna have a field day with that one. So what was this one? An ethnography of breastaurant masculinity. Oh, that's... Holy shit, these guys are so good at creating titles. I'm gonna need to hire them if I ever need some proper titles done, because this is good. But then again, they could just use the bot, because I've seen that, like, SJW bot out there. It is pretty good. But either way, this study aims to explain why men like breastaurants such as the Hooters chain. They are nostalgic for patriarchal dominance and enjoy being able to order attractive women around. An environment that they identify with authentic masculinity. Obviously, it's got nothing to do with the fact that men in general tend to like big old titties. But what do I know? I'm just a man that likes big old titties. I clearly don't know what I'm talking about and don't have the experience to speak on this matter. And even then, we're still not done. 2 other papers were accepted but have not yet been published. One of those, a feminist perspective on how positionality influences satire in feminist philosophy journal Hypatia, is the flagship for our study and we consider it our most important one, they said. Oh man, I wonder why they announced this before it was published though. That's kind of tragic. Hopefully they already printed it and it's too late to go back. Oh man, that one actually sounds like a funny one. Maybe we're going to read that one on stream if that comes out. Maybe it already did. I'm going to have to actually go check into that. But either way, why'd they put it into that one? It wanted to see if journals would embrace an argument that shuts down critiques of social justice scholarship as a lack of engagement and understanding, even if one engages fully and knowledgeably with the ideas. Man, these guys just keep impressing me more and more. If all of academia were like this team right here, we wouldn't be in this rut we're in right now. I'd probably safely be recommending college to everybody. But you guys know how it is. All good things have to come to an end. The trio had to cut short the experiment because its published dog park paper was highlighted by the Twitter account New Real Peer Review. Man, what the hell are the odds of that? A real peer reviewer actually took down this comedy show. This almost looks to me like they're advertising who these bullshit journals should be hiring to do their peer reviews, but that's just me apparently. And while we may be sad that this circus is coming to an end, we can at least be happy that there are people even within academia that are fighting the good fight. And these guys are dead on the money when they point out things like this. Because peer-reviewed journals are the absolute gold standard of knowledge production, not anymore, the steady approval of dubious speech in these journals will eventually leak into culture, they wrote. One example is the journey of white fragility from an academic journal in 2011 to a book deal for the concept's creator and billboards in Portland, Oregon this year. Well, as depressing as that sounds, thanks to the efforts of true heroes like these, the brokenness and corruption is finally being exposed. And much more importantly, it is highly entertaining for those of us with functioning brains. And so I gotta say, guys, thanks for listening.